Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My understanding is that we have people joining from multiple countries, multiple continents, and across multiple time zones. So thank you so much for coming together on a very busy week of CSW, and also happy International Women's Day to you all. My name is Yasmin Fernandez, and I'm the director of the Women's Digital Financial Inclusion Advocacy Hub. We're so happy you could join us. Unfortunately, we cannot be together in the same physical room, but we are thrilled to be together virtually from across so many locations. All of us joined, united in support of women's digital financial inclusion. Just a couple of housekeeping items for this call. This session will be recorded, and to minimize disruptions, we have everyone on mute unless you're speaking. I'd love to ask if you could put your name, your organization, and your country in the chat, so we knew who was on the line and so we can feel that we're together in our virtual room. Please use the chat function also to share any learnings, put links in, and participate in the discussion. And toward the end of the session, you can use the Q&A function at the very bottom to provide any specific questions you'd like answered by the moderator or the presenters. With that being said, I'd like to turn it over to Mary-Ellen Iskandarian, President and CEO of Women's World Banking, for opening remarks. Thank you, Mary-Ellen.
Thanks so much, Yasmin. It's wonderful to be with all of you today. Women's World Banking is so happy to partner with the UNCDF, the United Nations Capital Development Fund, and thanks to the generous support from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to bring the Women's Digital Financial Inclusion Advocacy Hub to life. As many of you probably already know, our program includes a global coalition as well as 2 local coalitions that we're testing in the 2 markets of Ethiopia and Indonesia. And I say testing because we're really hoping to use all that we learn in this first round of partnerships to expand to other markets, but we're testing to build strong, sustainable local coalitions that can move this work forward. We believe that having strong local actors is critical to tackling the challenges around women's financial inclusion. We're honored to be partnering with you as you advocate and you know the issues that are most urgent in your own markets so that we can all together further women's economic empowerment. The Advocacy Hub was established, as I say, to bring global and local coalitions together. And we've been steadily building collaboration and various co-learning opportunities across the coalitions, including today. But we're really excited to bring all 3 coalitions together for the first time today in one forum. So across this global Zoom call, we have 14 members from the global level, 16 members in Ethiopia, and 30 members in Indonesia. And I want to extend a warm welcome to our coalition members from Ethiopia, Indonesia, and at the global level, as well as any visitors who might be joining us and looking to learn more and potentially join us. I'm very excited to welcome our newest member, Change.org, who's just joined the Indonesia Coalition, and we know what powerful advocates that organization can be, so we're thrilled to have you with us. As you know, 1 billion women are either completely unbanked or tremendously underserved by the financial services sector, and they face great challenges and some very unique to your individual markets to engage with the formal financial sector. We all also around this global table believe that digital financial services can be a solution for leaping over some of those barriers. Yesterday was International Women's Day. We had a wonderful celebration in the physical offices of Women's World Banking. And I really think that the theme of International Women's Day, embrace equity, is particularly poignant to this coalition. Everything we are doing is about embracing equity in access to technology, access to services, and the ability to raise our voices. And you are making this happen every day in your own market. So we're very proud to partner with you and elevate these issues and help you elevate them in your local markets. To bring visibility to the work of the coalition, we've been using various global fora as a chance to talk about the Advocacy Hub, its coalition members, and advocating for women-owned micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. We've had the chance to amplify messages of the Hub at a bunch of different global events and media opportunities at the World Economic Forum in Davos last week with our great partner, the GSMA, at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. And we'll be leveraging other upcoming global moments for advocacy throughout the year to elevate the local voices and the important work that all of us are doing both globally and locally. So I will leave my remarks there. Very excited to hear the conversation and dreaming of a day when we'll be able to bring all of the coalitions together in one physical space. Thanks so much. Back to you, Yashvin.
Thank you so much, Mary Ellen. And thank you again to all of you for joining. If you don't mind, my colleague Chelsea is going to start some slides just to center us. Before we get into the actual content of the program, since we do have so many people who are new to the Advocacy Hub on the line, and some of you who have been working in your own market but maybe aren't necessarily thinking right now about the larger global context, I just wanted to provide a few slides to center our discussion this morning. If you go to the next slide, please, Chelsea. As Mary Ellen had mentioned in her remarks, the Women's Digital Financial Inclusion Advocacy Hub is a partnership between Women's World Banking and UNCDF with a very generous support from the Gates Foundation. If you think about it, it's two portions. It's the engine to catalyze the action of all of us here in the room around women's digital financial inclusion. Some of you might be working on adjacent topics. Some of you are working squarely in digital financial inclusion, but we're all looking toward women's economic empowerment. The two components, we have the Global Advocacy Hub, which drives action and creates campaigns, especially around the key advocacy moments, using a coalition of global and regional organizations. And then, as Mary Ellen mentioned, we have the local coalitions that we're testing right now in 2 markets, in Ethiopia and Indonesia. And these coalitions are made up of civil society, public and private sector organizations, government actors. All of us are advocating, or all of you, excuse me, are advocating for women's digital financial inclusion in your own markets. Next slide. Thank you. With the end goal of establishing, strong policy, practice, and financial commitments at the global level that promote gender-inclusive financial systems and strengthening the ecosystems in your own markets. You'll see that the hub was launched in mid last year, and you'll see a variety of activities. We had launched the Ethiopia, Indonesia, and Global Coalitions. And in addition to the collective action that our work supports, we also have capacity building workshops, ways to build specific skills, to provide additional training to fill gaps in any local markets, as well as we have a grant facility that actually provides funding. So many of you have amazing initiatives already on the way, but just some extra resources would really help you put those into practice. So we had a facility that went out last year, and we're going to have another round of funding coming up in the next couple of months. Next slide, Chelsea. Thank you. Part of advocacy is really bringing attention to our cause and the work that we're doing. You'll see that we really help drive the conversation in women's digital financial inclusion in the last half of the year. And we want to make sure that it stays top of mind and that we're elevating the work of our coalition and of the coalition members. We reach large numbers thanks to all of you who helped amplify messaging in a coordinated fashion. You might have seen our social media toolkits that provide you with some content to push forward the message out there along with your coalition members. Next slide, Chelsea. Thank you. And you'll just see here a couple of the publications that spoke about the work of the hub. It spoke of the work of coalition members across global, regional, and country level publications. The Hub has 4 calls to action. Think about these as 4 organizing ways to organize our work across 4 calls. We have access to technology. We truly believe that in this day and era, having access to a smartphone, to some type of technology device is critical to bringing women into the formal financial service system. Access to skills. We want to make sure that women are able to grow their businesses, increase their confidence and capabilities in terms of financial literacy as well as digital literacy. Access to digital financial services to ensure that the financial services providers, whether they're banks, whether they're fintechs, mobile network operators, they're all designing with the needs of women in mind. And finally, we really want to make sure we have deeper data collection and evidence about women micro-entrepreneurs while we're looking at digital financial services and trying to move forward the entire sector. This year, our work is focused on women entrepreneurs, the micro-entrepreneurs who are really driving economies. We want to make sure that we understand the data so that we're able to point out where we can push further and help our advocacy efforts. Next slide. We're focusing on using local and partner voices. Those are your voices in your work to uplift our calls to action. Our PR agency, Porter Novelli, is our partner in building campaigns at key advocacy moments, such as the ones that you see at the bottom of the slide. Next slide, Chelsea, thank you. And finally, I just wanted to provide you a view of our engagement calendar coming up this year. As some of you attended who are actually on this line, we did have a coalition event in Jakarta last month on Valentine's Day, and we had Mobile World Congress organized by our partners, the GSMA in Barcelona. This month, we're all here in Women's History Month, International Women's Day, and CSW this week and the next week. We have upcoming a media workshop in Ethiopia. We will have our Making Finance Work for Women's Global Summit in Mumbai at the end of May. We're so excited to bring together everyone for the first time in several years, actually in person. We will have a side event, hoping that coalition members can attend. And finally, you'll see over Q3 and Q4, we have various panels and conferences, as well as webinars, where we can bring together all of you in different moments and elevate the work of the coalition. You'll see that we're very excited that Women Deliver for the first time is going to be in the Global South. It'll be in Kigali, and we're hoping to see you there. And then finally, we will have another round, as I mentioned, of grants to support your women's digital financial inclusion initiatives in Ethiopia and Indonesia. With that, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Pippa, who is the Senior Advocacy Manager at GSMA. She is a coalition member, and she's going to present on GSMA's new Mobile Gender Gap Report. Thank you so much, Pippa.
Thank you, Yasmin. Really appreciate that warm welcome. Thanks for inviting me here today to present. So I'll be presenting some of our new high-level mobile gender gap data, as well as insights from our recent report, which is titled Empowering Women Entrepreneurs Through Mobile. For those of you who have not had the pleasure to meet yet, my name is Pippa McDougall, and I'm the Senior Advocacy Manager for the Connected Women program at the GSMA. And for those of you who may not know the GSMA, we're the Global Industry Association for Mobile Phone Operators. And our program really works with our operator and our partners to improve both the digital and financial inclusion for women across low and middle income countries. So we're very grateful to be part of the WDFI Advocacy Hub and work with you towards this joint endeavor. So next slide, please. And I see the slides, if we could just zoom them in a bit. and go into presentation mode, that would be great. But we're really thankful as well to our donors. So the UK FCDO and CETA, who are supporting our activities to accelerate both the digital and financial inclusion of women, but also to the Gates Foundation, who support our work specifically on women micro entrepreneurs. And then, of course, our operators who have made very bold commitments to address the mobile gender gap in their database. So women are, we'll just go back a couple slides to slide 3. Women are benefiting from mobile than ever before. So why am I here today? Why are we talking about mobile and mobile phones? I think the CSW, the theme this year is highly relevant, really centered around digital gender equality in the digital age. And we know that across low and middle income countries, or we say LMICs for short, over 60% of women now use mobile internet. 80% of women across LMICs now own a mobile phone. These are quite huge numbers, and we can see that uptake has really increased on this front, which is exciting. And the reason we really focus on mobile is it's actually the primary way that most people, particularly women, access internet in LMICs. And just to put that into a statistic, in 2022, mobile accounted for over 85% of broadband connections. So it really is key to ensuring that we have digital gender equality. Next slide, please. We know that access to mobile really transforms women's lives. This is without question, not only empowering women, but making them feel safer, more connected, autonomous, and giving them access to key information, as well as digital financial services, which is a key theme here today. Next slide, please. So despite the benefits of mobile and despite mobile internet spreading rapidly, unfortunately, it's not spreading equally across LMICs. There's a much greater percentage of men who use mobile internet than women. And this is what we call the mobile internet gender gap, which I'll be talking a bit about today. Next slide, please. So last year's data showed that progress in reducing the mobile internet gender gap had stalled. This was the first time since we've been tracking it in 2017. So if you look on the left here, in 2017, the mobile internet gender gap was at 25%. So this means that women were 25% less likely than men to use mobile internet. And as you can see, it had been steadily decreasing year after year, which was very great news for gender equality. And then our last year's data showed that for the first time, progress had stalled, and in some countries it had even reversed. We've also seen that while more women are using mobile than ever before, their rate of adoption has slowed in contrast with the high growth rates and mobile internet adoption for men. Next slide, please. So this year, we're very pleased to say, and we announced this yesterday, that unfortunately, progress in reducing the mobile internet gender gap remains stalled. You can see we've now added our data for 2022, and this shows to show that the rate of mobile internet adoption has further slowed for women over the last year. We've seen that men's rate of adoption has also slowed, but again, there's significantly more men than women using mobile internet. And really, this is a stark reminder that we cannot be complacent. Urgent action is needed, and all of us, all stakeholders, really have a role to play in this regard. Next slide, please. So the data has showed us that this year, women are 19% less likely than men to use mobile internet across LMICs. And we know that this gender gap is even wider in certain regions, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. So you can see on the screen in South Asia, the gender gap is as high as 41%, which means that there's much more work to be done. We'll be sharing our mobile gender gap report. Will come out in May of this year, and that'll have much more regional level data as well as country specific data. It'll look more into the barriers and also provide other metrics like the smartphone gender gap. So please keep your eyes out for that. Now we'll go on to the next slide, and I wanted to also give you just a quick background of the project that we're working on. Our Connected Women team is currently working on a 3-year project to accelerate the digital and financial inclusion of women micro-entrepreneurs in Asia and Africa, and this is with thanks to the Gates Foundation. And we're conducting research on to really better understand how women micro-entrepreneurs are using mobile for their business, what are the barriers they face, and what are opportunities to reach them. And based on these insights, we will be supporting our mobile operator partners to not only identify, but develop and scale their approaches to reach female micro-entrepreneurs in their customer base of their mobile internet services or mobile money services. And here you can see the focus countries for this project are India, Pakistan, Kenya, and Ghana, although we'll be collecting and sharing insights from countries across Africa and Asia. Next slide, please. So as part of this project, actually just 2 weeks ago, we launched our initial landscaping report on this topic, which was based on an extensive lit review as well as expert interviews. And I just want to give a shout out to my colleague Alida, who led this report. So well done to her. And this, one of the key insights is that this kind of revealed that there's a real lack of research and data on how women micro-entrepreneurs are using mobile for their businesses. We've seen that there's a lot of research on MSMEs, but looking at just the segment of women micro-entrepreneurs, the data is quite scant. I also can say that coming up in June, we'll be publishing primary in-country field research on this topic using both qualitative and quantitative data. So that'll have, we'll have a lot more to say come June, but in the meantime, we can give you a bit of flavor of some of the things uncovered in the report that we published. Next slide, please. So we know that micro enterprises are the dominant form of employment in LMICs. So just for example, in low-income countries, 88% of working age women earn income through self-employment. So that is quite a huge number. They're really the backbone underpinning economies. And we see that micro enterprises in LMICs, they share many characteristics in common. Many of them are informal, they have no or few employees, they operate in low value, labor intensive sectors. And as we all know too well, unfortunately, compared to men, they face greater barriers to starting, running, and growing their business. They're less likely than men to have access to resources, such as access to capital markets, mobile phone, and training. While there's these commonalities, women are not a homogeneous group, and really understanding these differences will be key to informing appropriate product design, marketing, and distribution approaches, and interventions to reach this segment. So that's really what we're looking to do here. Next slide, please. So based on this, we know that mobile phones have helped women micro-entrepreneurs run their business in really 4 key ways. So the first is access to markets. undoubtedly mobile is the primary way micro enterprises communicate with customers, their suppliers, and other businesses. They mainly market and sell their products and services through informal channels, particularly the likes of WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram, which provide not only lower barriers to entry, but also greater flexibility in sales and payment processes. The second, as we all know very well, is access to financial services. We know that women micro entrepreneurs usually undertake the majority of their financial transactions in cash. They also tend to obtain business finance through informal channels. We also know that the use of mobile money is on the rise, which is quite exciting. However, women micro entrepreneurs mainly just use the most common services like sending and receiving payments. And we know that using digital and financial services can really allow micro entrepreneurs to comfortably transact with male customers. Face-to-face contact is not always needed with this. And the third, of course, key area is business management. Our research shows that uptake of business management solutions among the segment is likely limited by lower awareness, lower skills, and relevant mobile products, and the lack of affordability of some of the paid services. And then the fourth, of course, is access to training. There is limited information about the use of mobile for training among women micro entrepreneurs. However, it's likely that they would value the flexibility of digital training due to the greater flexibility that it can afford. Of course, there's a number of other barriers preventing women micro entrepreneurs from owning and using mobile phones. A lack of an internet-enabled handset, lack of digital skills, social norms, and we'll be exploring these topics a lot more in our upcoming report in June with new quantitative data coming out. So I'll be wrapping up shortly. We'll just go to the next slide. I'll share a few key emerging opportunities that are in this report to increase their use of mobile products and services for business. Next slide, please. So again, we'll cover some of these emerging opportunities a lot more in our upcoming June report. These recommendations are really aimed more at mobile ecosystem providers, but many are relevant for other types of stakeholders as well. And the first one is really around collecting, analyzing gender disaggregated data on the needs, perceptions, circumstances, and challenges of WMEs, particularly those related to mobile phones. The second, of course, is ensuring this is considered in the design and delivery of mobile products and services. The third is around raising awareness of relevant mobile products and services among women micro entrepreneurs. The fourth is centered around designing solutions to improve the affordability of mobile services and data. Again, affordability is such a key issue here. We also see an opportunity around building the knowledge and skills. So this can be done through tailored training and support, really customized to the business size, sector, as well as gender considerations. And then, of course, considering gender intentional agent networks that can build trust and serve women micro entrepreneurs in a culturally sensitive manner. So I'll just go to the last slide and leave you with a few of our upcoming activities to look out for, some of which I've already mentioned. So the first is we'll be publishing our mobile gender gap report in May, which will have a lot more nuanced and country level data. In June, we'll have our report on mobile and female micro entrepreneurs coming out, again, with new qualitative and quantitative data. We're using these insights to then support our operator partners to create new approaches to reach female micro entrepreneurs. And this topic is really of interest to them, and they're already doing a lot of great work in this regard. Looking more to the immediate future, tomorrow we're hosting a CSW side event on empowering women micro entrepreneurs in the digital economy. So for those who may be in New York, we would love to see you there. It's taking place at the UN at 8:15 a.m. tomorrow, conference room B. And then lastly, we'll be presenting to the WDFI Ethiopia Local Coalition in late March. And we'll have brand new data on the mobile gender gap for Ethiopia. This is really exciting for us. It's the first time we have Ethiopia specific data. And of course, it's a really important market. So looking forward to being able to share those insights later this month. And with that, we can go to the next slide, which is just to say a big thank you for having me here. Happy to take any questions, and I'll hand the floor back to the moderator.
Thank you very much, Pippa, for that wonderful presentation. I definitely learned a lot, and I'm sure that there are quite a few questions here. Allow me to just go into the Q&A section to see what the questions are here. The main question that I see here is if you could please share a download link to the report, please, once it's available. There's also a question here that's asking from Rani Deshpande. Do you have an estimate of what proportion of women micro-entrepreneurs are using platforms such as WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook as customer acquisition channels?
Thank you for the question. So I don't have that specific stat on hand, but the research does show that those comm services that are free, such as Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, are really widely used. They're the dominant form of communication tools. And yes, for the first question, I can drop a link in the chat box to this report. Not a problem at all.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Pippa. I personally have a question. I'm wondering what part of, oh, we have another question here from Kalkidan Tadese from Ethiopia. She's wondering if Telegram as a social media platform is as famous and widely used in other countries. In Ethiopia, for example, this is what's predominantly used.
Great question. So I really think it depends and differs country per country. I unfortunately don't have each of the country level nuances yet, but perhaps that's something that'll come out in our later report. But it is very interesting to note the nuances and the differences in how women micro-entrepreneurs use mobile and which apps they use.
Thanks for that, Pippa. My question was there anything specific out of your research that surprised you the most? What was the most surprising aspect of the research that you conducted for you?
Good question. So maybe I'll switch gears to the mobile gender gap. I was personally quite surprised to see that the mobile internet gender gap has remained stalled. I would have thought, and I would have hoped, maybe it was wishful thinking, that it would continue to decline. We know that obviously COVID caused a little setback and a blip. So I was hoping that since we've largely have passed COVID, it would continue to decline. So I was surprised that the mobile internet gender gap remains stalled.
Thank you very much, Pippa. Appreciate that. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for your presentation as well. And I'm sure that if there are other questions, folks will be able to connect with you offline. So
Perfect.
Thank you very much for
Feel
that.
free to reach out. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Pippa. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lele Balde, and I'm the program manager with the Women's Digital Financial Inclusion Hub at Women's World Banking. I will be bringing on three coalition members to highlight their experiences. For some reason, my camera is not working at the moment, so allow me to be off camera, unfortunately. I would like to invite Sedinaya Namrud, Head of Digital Capacity Building and Public Engagement Unit, Digital Transformation Program from the Ministry of Innovation and Technology of Ethiopia, to please come on to the stage and kindly turn on her camera. Welcome to this session. I'd like to invite Dr. Charity Dilwayo, expert leaders from the Expert Leaders Group at the Grasta Michelle Foundation. Please kindly turn on your camera. And Ibu Muthmaina Berry from Ruang Kolaborasi Perempuan, which is the women's collaboration space from Indonesia. So as we've been talking, we're very excited to highlight three coalition members representing the three coalitions. So the Global Coalition, the Ethiopia Coalition, and the Indonesia Coalition. This portion is essentially an opportunity for coalition members to share the challenges, the opportunities that access to skills, technology, and digital financial services present for women in their countries, as well as specific solutions that the WDFI Advocacy Hub is enabling to implement and address these barriers. So I'd like to start with Muthmaina from Ruang Kolaborasi in Indonesia. Could you please tell us about the work that you've been doing on the ground, and what specifically are the barriers that women have been facing in Indonesia as it pertains to accessing skills?
Okay, thank you very much, Lele, for this opportunity. I first would like to thank Women's World Banking for supporting us to conduct the Women Digital Financial Inclusion in Indonesia. Actually, the main barriers that we face in conducting the training for women is about the limitation for women to join the training because of the double burden as a housewife. Like they don't have enough time to join the training because of they have to work in their household. So maybe the double burden is the main challenging that they face to learn about the digital and financial access for digital literacy skills. They don't have enough time and lack of digital literacy skills.
Thank you very much. And what particularly is your organization doing to bridge that gap?
Okay, actually our organization focus more on providing access and support for them through our mentoring and training program. And because of they don't have enough time to join the training, like to join the training, so we try to conduct the training in their household. Like we actually make we divided our training into two parts. This one is in the picture is a big class, and then also we have a small class, but we conduct the mentoring and training program about the digital and financial inclusion. And here in the picture, we invited them to join. We collaborate with the university and invite the academician to share about financial literacy and then also digital literacy. And you can see from the picture that a woman have to bring the child to the class because of, as I remember, when the first time when we want to conduct this training and we ask the woman to join, the first question that come up is about, could I bring my child to the class? Because the previous workshop or training from local government and other institution, they are not allowed to bring the child to the event. So the woman prefer not to join the training rather than leave the child at home. So in our training, we allow them to bring the child, and then we provide some kids corner so they can so the women can join the class and also taking care of the child. So this is the big class, and the other picture I will show you maybe the small classes like we conducted also in a house of the women. So it can be it can help them to join the class and also to taking care of their child.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. Marina, for sharing that. I'd love to, it's really interesting to hear about the Indonesia perspective. Would love to bring in Tedinia Namrud from Ethiopia to hear about what her experience has been like in Ethiopia. Specifically, what are the barriers that women are facing in accessing skills and technology? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lele. Hi, everyone. So thank you very much for this honor. I'm really privileged to be a part of this panel. Just to address some of the questions that Lele raised. There are many barriers that disproportionately affect women, as we know, when it comes to access to technology and skills, such as low level of general literacy rates, lack of access to digital devices, lack of access to affordable connectivity, and unavailability of localized content of digital skills and literacy. In Ethiopia, there are substantial gender gaps in access to digital technology and financial services. Also, inequalities in literacy are there across age groups and regions. At the national level, 57% of males are literate, while only 43% of females are literate in terms of general literacy. But I would like to focus on lack of access to digital financial literacy. So digital financial literacy combines the skill needed to navigate financial services with the skills to use digital technologies. This include knowledge of the value of digital financial products and services, confidence in using digital financial products and services, awareness of how to prevent and manage digital financial risks. These are some of the concepts that digital financial literacy includes. And this is why digital literacy and digital financial literacy is a priority for the Ministry of Innovation and Technology that I worked at. Our mission is to build a digitally enabled society that can contribute for Ethiopia's digital economy and Ethiopia's digital future. The ministry has engaged in multiple digital and financial literacy initiatives. For instance, we're conducting a study to identify the national digital gender divide. We are also in the process of developing a national digital inclusion strategy. We are also working with different institutions to develop localized digital financial literacy content and platforms, digital platforms. And we recognize that building a digitally enabled society is not effectively done in isolation. Multi-stakeholder engagement and partnerships, such as the WDFI Advocacy Hub, are key to realize our digital financial literacy objectives. As you know, in this fourth industrial revolution, availing digital technologies and skills to women and young girls has a direct impact on their economic gain. Digital empowerment of women is a part of, if not the center of, economic empowerment and freedom. Through digital, we can embrace equity for women and young girls. And now I just would like to tell you a bit about our project, the project that me, myself, and Samia Godu, the president and founder of the Ethiopian Youth Entrepreneurs Association, are working on with in partnership with Enat Bank, one of the pioneers of women's banking services in Ethiopia. This project has become a reality thanks to the WDFI Advocacy Hub. Some of you might remember this, but in October 2022, we all participated in the Fletcher School Leadership Training for Financial Inclusion. During this training, we explored a wide range of barriers limiting women's access to financial services and digital solutions, formulated and prioritized objectives, and developed various solutions. Among these solutions was this project, which aims to enable young entrepreneurs with digital financial literacy capabilities to contribute to their businesses and personal growth. And our goals we have three major goals within the scope of the project. The first one is training 50 young women entrepreneurs on digital financial literacy. The second one is to hold 2 multi-stakeholder consultations on young women entrepreneurs engagement on digital financial inclusion in Ethiopia with different stakeholders from the private sector, from the public, from CSOs and the like. The third goal is to run radio ads to raise awareness on women's digital financial inclusion. The project started last month, and very soon we'll be sharing some lessons from our experience soon, so that others can join us and we can continue to advance this work together. Thank you, Lily. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Sidiania. That was a really wonderful recap of the wonderful work that is happening in Ethiopia. It sounds like a combination of skills, access to technology, and access to digital financial services is what is needed there. So thank you for that. I'd like to invite Dr. Charity Liwayo from the Grasta Michelle Trust, who's part of the expert leaders group. Now, the Grasta Michelle Trust is part of the Global Coalition, a regional African organization working towards women's economic empowerment. What have you seen on the ground as it pertains to WDFI on the continent? What are the barriers that women are facing in implementing some of these solutions that we have discussed? So over to you, Dr. Liwayo.
Thank you very much. First of all, good day to everybody, and I'm really pleased to be part of this forum, and also we thank you for inviting us to join this forum. In our region, I think I'm going to give you a few insights in what we have noted through some roundtables, both nationally and regionally, that we have conducted in the past year. First of all, to say COVID-19 has actually leapfrogged the use of digital means in our region, maybe elsewhere as well, where everything became digital, even funerals, weddings, work, everything went digital. However, we found that even if digital finance has become the way to go or the norm, a lot of women especially have been left behind, mainly because most of our women are in the rural areas. And the first thing is that they do not have the capacity to own the gadgets that they require to operate digitally. For example, the mobile phones are out of reach for them, and also there's unfamiliar terminology used by the mobile network operators and also the user interface itself is not designed for non-English speakers. There is also a big problem of poor network quality and coverage, especially in the remote areas that I'm talking about. So there is poor connectivity, and I must say connectivity is a big issue even in urban areas. So that deters access to technology. Also, the products are not quite tailored for women. They will be need for a deliberate effort to include women in this. Also, there is a problem of transparency in terms of pricing of the mobile services. And also, there is a problem that we noted of having national IDs, because for you to operate, you need to be registered with a mobile network operator, and national IDs became an issue for most people. And also for the MSMEs, there's also the problem that they do not own gadgets like point of sale machines. They are not really available to them. So we noted that there is low financial literacy among women due to low education levels. So in that case, digital financial skills is a problem that we have noted. And also limited access to information, where most of the women in the rural areas, they lack information on what services are being provided. And we also think that the increase in digital financial services could help alleviate that problem. And also there is a high cost of education, and that most of our MSMEs are informal, and they are always left behind most of the time. We think that digital literacy programs as well, perhaps if they can be translated into local languages, because we find that that is a deterrence for women accessing digital platforms. Also, we believe that the inclusion of women in the digital economy in Africa, it actually holds great promise for women financial inclusion, and have the potential to catapult women into a better future. And that will improve women's ability to conduct business transactions and access to finance. Also, we believe that women businesses can benefit from mobile money's higher efficiency and also security. Maybe I can stop there for now. I don't know whether I have answered all the questions or...
You absolutely have, Dr. Charity. Thank you so very much for that, that context that you've given us. It sounds like skills, access to tech and digital financial services, as well as education, have been are important in this context. Now, I have one last question.
Lele, I think your microphone has gone on mute. We're not hearing you.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Yashmin. I was just thanking Dr. Charity for giving us that context. And it sounds like access to skills, technology, and also education has been important in this context. I have one last question for all of our highlighted speakers. So at this point, I'd like to invite Muthmaina to kindly turn on her camera, same with Sedinaya. And also I'd like to invite my colleague, Mariana Lopez, who is the gender lead at UNCDF, to kindly also turn on her camera. So as we've been speaking about the various experiences in the different markets, Indonesia, Ethiopia, and globally, I have one final question for you all. How can the global and local partners work more closely together? We want to hear from you. Thank you. So Tedinaya, would you like to take a stab at that? How do you think that the local and global partners can work more closely together? We have a call of close to 80 people from various parts of the world, all working towards eradicating women's digital financial exclusion. So what are your thoughts on how we can work more closely together? Thank you.
Thank you so much. From our experience with the hub, I think we can say that partners and stakeholders need to work together. First, they need to collaborate on, different studies and different researches so that they have the evidence to design context-specific interventions. The other thing that we would recommend is strengthening the capacity of local actors, and also channeling financial and technical resources to create solutions and tools for local advocates. So this is the general recommendation that we have. So the Ethiopian Coalition and their bridge to the global hub are reimagining how we work together, and from their inception, being international about addressing the barriers that women face to be a part of digital economy. So our call to action would be to encourage you to work together to become a member of the WDFI coalition, either in Ethiopia or Indonesia on the global. And yeah, this is our call to action today. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sidaya. Muthmaina, I would love to hear from you on your thoughts on how global and local can work more closely together.
Okay. For me, based on our experience, I think providing more space and learning center for women to learn about digital and financial is important, because especially for like our beneficiary, they are underserved women. So most of the women in our community only attend junior high school and married in very early. So they are not able to continue their education because of economical and financial problem. So we need to give more awareness about the importance of digital and financial literacy to have them develop their businesses, because in our experience that when we first time come to the community and over the women's digital project, they don't think it's important for them, because they thought that digital learning is only for educated person. So based on the experience, we think we need to more focus on providing space and also give them a picture of the benefit of digital and financial literacy for them, because in our main challenge, the major challenge we face also when we try to do this project is about, we try to convince them by regularly visiting them and talk to this woman to change their mindset about this, that digital is really will give impact to their life, and then also it can help them to grow and increase their income. So I think they just need to be informed more about the benefit of learning digital. And I also will share one of the most unforgettable moment when we try to conduct this training is about when we invited the women to come to the university and learn about digital. It's a bit emotional for them because as we know that the women didn't even have a high school degree. So when we invited them to learn in the university, they were a bit emotional because they say that they finally feel the atmosphere of being a student. So we have to focus more on that, and then especially when you conduct the training, you have to focus and then you provide the models for the women. You need to focus more on their level of education, like you make a model based on with the familiar word. For example, in our experience, when we invited academician to be a speaker, some of the women is quite hard to learn about materials because they use the difficult term about the facial. So women is not interesting and it's not interested to join the class, but after try to change the model with the familiar word, and then the term learn, they have a high motivation to learn. I think that's my expectation about how the global world should work together to
Thank you, Ms. Maina. It sounds like we've lost you there, but we definitely heard your points loud and clear. I'd like to invite Dr. Charity to provide her thoughts on how global and local can work more closely together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point, my major observation is that for us to achieve digital financial inclusion for women, there's need for concerted efforts and collectivism with various stakeholders at all levels. Because what I find is that there are so many players when we talk about digital financial inclusion, and the combination of local and global helps in terms of training seems to be a major issue in all this. And as I have noted, what is happening in our region, for example, there are high costs of accessing the skills. So there is need to mobilize enough resources to put up training programs, to design products that are suitable for women. So I think the togetherness will help in terms of combined efforts, and also the sharing of information, because you find that people are always at different levels of development, and sharing information like today we are here and there are many organizations on the call, and you find that you actually learn, because a certain model which might work in Indonesia or in Ghana or wherever can be easily replicated, but you need that information. So information sharing and learning from each other is also going to be very key in this. I think those are my thoughts generally in terms of collaboration and collectivism.
Thank you very much, Dr. Charity. I'd like to hand over to my colleague, Mariana Lopez. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily, and thank you, everyone. This has been a fantastic discussion. I'm just taking notes and trying to kind of take it all in. I do apologize for my voice. I'm recovering from the glorious COVID, still around. I'm hoping you're having a safer experience if you are in New York or wherever you are. But I guess I would love to hear from our attendees, actually. This question is fantastic. How can we work better together? How can we connect the global and the local more effectively? Yes, I would love to hear from everybody who's still in the webinar, your thoughts on the chat. And perhaps while you give it some thought, I'll just tell you what I think about this or the reflections that I have on my end. I think two things have become clear for me. The first one is that we still have a lot of momentum around gender equality, and that's great. Every year I feel like, have we spoken about this enough? Are we going to lose track? Are we going to change on the climate? Are we going to move on from this agenda? Because we've been talking about it for what feels like so long. And reassuringly, not yet. We all still care, but there's still a lot of attention. There's still a lot of traction, and there's still space for us to do a lot. However, we need to make sure that we keep going in the right direction, and that is not always easy because of all the things that we just highlighted. Like Dr. Charity perfectly said, we can know what we have to do. It's very, we have insights, we have some tested solutions, we have guidance. The challenge is that it's complicated because, well, first, nuances, right? Locally, contextually, at a community level, it's very challenging to just take one solution and apply it without really thinking about all the different things that have to be in place to make it happen. The worst thing that we can do is make an assumption that what worked in one market will work in another one without really considering what the women in that context really want and what they really need. And the second challenge is that, well, to achieve scale, and I love this comment from Tamra in the challenge in the chat, we really need collaboration. We have lots of good ideas. We have lots of potentially good implementing partners, but it's hard to go from one pilot and one tiny solution into something that becomes, a wave of influence and impact. So that is for me the kind of the second part of the problem, that even though we know what we need to do, getting there and achieving scale is something that we can only do together. Again, much easier said than done. And that is effectively what the hub was meant to be. It's created, or it was designed to be a platform for information sharing, for knowledge sharing, for community building, a space to make sure that the networks that we have in this ecosystem really flourish, and to just kind of flip it around, and not just the spotlight, because it's not only about bringing new voices into the fore, which I personally think is key, but about ensuring that the solutions that we have in those different markets actually get the push that they need, so that it's not about all these global commitments being completely detached from the results on the ground, but on the contrary, kind of bringing it together and flipping it around so that we start to really focus on the things that make a difference. And on that note, and before I keep on talking, I just want to say that, first of all, thank you to all our panelists, and thank you to everyone here who joined either early in the morning or in your evening. We're always looking for the right partners, the right friends, the right supporters. And that means organizations that have strong implementation networks, that have strong presence on the ground, and most importantly, that have made true commitments to advance this agenda. As you heard, we have 3 different coalitions, one at the global level, one in Ethiopia, and one in Indonesia. But that doesn't mean that we're not open to having a conversation and to welcoming members from different parts of the world. This is meant to be a community of organizations. This is meant to be a platform that serves to accelerate this agenda. It combines a lot of different things. It's about advocacy, it's about implementation, it's about information sharing, and it's about having a recurrent presence so that this agenda, again, doesn't lose traction, and to make sure that those that are really doing the work get the recognition that they need. So I'll kind of refer back to the slide. You can see the email that you can reach out to us. You can always drop us an email, drop us a message now in the chat. We are open to having a conversation, to getting to know you, to understanding what the challenges are in your market, in your organization, to getting feedback from this event or any others that we have done in the past. The intention is, again, to make sure that we are adding value to the conversation, that we are allowing people to come together at the right time and pushing forward together in the ways that we can. So as simple as that, as a final thank you, again, on behalf of UNCDF, of Women's Rural Banking, please reach out. Please let us know if there's anything we can do. And if you have a final comment as well, please put it in the chat. We wouldn't want to miss it. I would just say again, one more time, and because I really like to say it, thank you.